Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin Strange. I am a cartoonist, novelist, and independent filmmaker, and I am here today to share with you my love of comic books. And I am joined again by my friend, Dr. Ben. Hello, Dr.
I'm
Ben.
Kevin.
Well,
Beautiful day
we're
in the.
here.
Am I muted? What?
Nope,
No.
you're good.
Okay. Another beautiful day in the world of comics. Friendly
Always a
neighborhood.
beautiful day in the world of comics. Today we're going to cover some Harvey Pekar American Splendor comics by way of Alan Moore. Yes, that Alan Moore, the Watchman Alan Moore, the now I'm blanking on all of Alan Moore's comics. The
From
Swamp Thing
Hell.
Alan Moore,
Swamp
the
Thing.
From Hell Alan Moore. Yeah. That Alan Moore tried his hand at underground cartooning, a la Robert Crumb, Spain Rodriguez, S. Clay Wilson. Yes, no bull. Alan Moore is also an underground cartoonist.
Oh, wait, that's his stuff?
It's his stuff. But
that's him drawing.
That's him drawing.
What?
But before we, yes, written by Harvey Pekar, drawn by Alan Moore. But before we get started, Dr. Ben and I are both comic book creators, and we make our own comics. You can follow Dr. Ben, his YouTube channel, at the link below, and you can follow my Patreon page at the link below, where you can read all of my comics, novels, and watch all of my movies. And I just so happen to have a couple of my comic books right here that you can read at the Patreon. The Wizard of Ganj is a send up to the underground comics genre with my own unique take on underground cartooning here.
This looks like it just crawled out of a 60s head shop.
That's what I'm saying.
Time traveling 60s stoner. And
yeah, I love the underground comic style, and I do my best to emulate that. And
Too Many Dabs.
This is my stuff. Yeah, Too Many Dabs, issue number 1. And this is all in the style of the adults only underground comics. I'm currently working on some stuff that's more all ages, and I think I'm going to use a different pen name, but that we'll get to that when we get to that. That's going to be for another time. But yeah, this is stuff that you can still get from me through digitally through my Patreon for only $2.99 or $3 a month, whatever.
And you have those at like at head shops and stuff, right?
Yeah, a few of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's brilliant. Like make stoner comics, take them to the modern head shops. Hey,
sure, yeah. But we're not here today to talk about my stuff. Although, hang on, let's. Dr. Ben, you are muted now. Oh, you're coughing.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't want to overwhelm everyone. You know.
Put you on the spot there. What do you got? Show us some of your comics here before we get started.
I'll have a couple copies of these left with me at Erie Comic Con, or these might be this might be in the past. These might be all gone, but you can get your own copies, your own PDF copies for free on my Substack, drben.substack.com. Got weird dreams I had, a world where cash has been replaced by copies of Spawn 8 and Spawn 9. No more cash. Everything is just measured in numbers of copies. Spawn 8 and Spawn 9, specifically just those two. Like an apocalypse hellscape for sure. And Stanley J. Wabbit, of course, is my he's sort of, like my Bugs Bunny stand-in homage idea. Actually, I could pull that over here real quick. Back in the day, I did a comic called Jam Space, which has it's kind of like a Bugs Bunny Space Jam fan fiction thing, right? My idea is to create a story with Stanley J. Wabbit where it's revealed that he was like it was him in this comic, but he was like portraying Bugs, almost like, you know what I mean, like maybe have him wearing a mask, because I also have a thing where I'm going to have LeBron James is in here, right? And this is before the Space Jam 2 movie, right? I come up with LeBron James crossing over with the assorted rabbits and characters and whatnot. But I have this other character that is called Jabroni Lames, that is a centaur. So my idea is that he would be portraying LeBron James, but in the comics, he was wearing like a green screen suit on his horse half, and they just put in his leg. Yeah.
And are these mini sized, or are those full sized comics?
Yeah, these are just like mini size. Like I just print all these.
Where do you get those printed? You don't have to tell me. Do you get it through like, you don't have to dox the printer itself?
I just do I just print them all myself.
At home, or through like you go to
at home.
Okay. On a color printer.
Yeah.
That got a little pricey for me. Well, let me show you what I do for the mini comics. Because I have that same issue of Too Many Dabs, but I have it as a mini comic, kind of like those. But I do them black and white style, and I get these printed en masse on a printer's website, and they are very cheap. I mean, I get these. These are like, I think they're like, by the time I put an issue together, it's like 15 pages and then folded. They're like 30 cents a piece or something like that. It's got to cost you more to do like a full color. It's got to cost you a couple bucks to do. I mean, we don't have to get into the sausage.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like
it costs, like, but you know, we're comics makers, and a lot of the people who watch these shows are comics makers. So let's tell them a little bit. Tell them what goes into printing the full color stuff at home.
Yes. Well, I was going to say, I get this paper that's like, I don't have any like right by me, like offhand, like the like the blank paper, right? And you just, but I get a heavier grade. You know what I mean? Like this isn't like the normal like copy, like photocopy paper. It's almost like a light cardstock. So it gives like the mini comics a little bit better. You know, like they stay, because like, let's see, like this one, I had gotten this printed at the Office Max or Office Depot or whatever back 2016, right? Okay. And it's just on like regular copy paper, right. And like it's real flimsy. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
So you have to, when you do that, you have to are you doing a PDF at home?
Yeah.
Where you situate all the pages so that when you fold them over, they are all in the correct order?
Yeah, well, I just use whatever the program I use on the computer is just I'm trying to think what I use to print it, because it's like I use just like the standard program, but it has to be like as a PDF, and you have to make sure it's clicked as a booklet and the right size, and then you also need to have like a trimmer, or else you'll have like those white, it won't print all the way to the edge. So to make it look like you have like,
buddy, I don't even bother.
Oh, see, that's what I'm saying.
I don't even bother. I get the white edge all the way across, and you know what? I leave it. Well, because for me, it only affects the cover. You know, once you go inside, like.
Oh yeah, if you're doing that, that's fine.
It doesn't affect. And
you can like kind of work with the cover too if you want to leave it like that, so that it doesn't.
Well, you can pay that the website that I go to mass print this stuff. You can pay to go to bleed to the edge, but why am I going to pay extra when that doesn't look bad?
Right.
It just looks like a white border because they're black and white, so it just looks like a white border.
You can go around the edge of your border too and make like the border just white, so it blends all together.
Well, that's what I'm saying. On the inside, it's just a white border.
See, with this, I've got excuse me. With this, I got like that. I did like a, I don't know, like a filter or a layer that goes over the white so that it looks like it's got, like the paper is yellow, like the background is yellow. Yeah. So with this, it's like you have to see, like that's like right at the edge there. Like there's a little bit that didn't get trimmed off of this page.
Want a bigger bowel movement?
Yeah, just simple and easy to follow instructions. Do it yourself.
$2.99.
That's
well,
right.
Dr.
How
Ben,
can you beat that? How can you beat
Dr. Ben? Let's talk about another self-published cartoonist.
Yeah, let's
talk about another guy that likes to do his own comic.
I want to see. Yeah,
we have a special
local Cleveland,
a very unique personality in the indie comics world. We have one, Harvey Pekar. He is, like you said, a local. You're in the Cleveland area.
Yeah.
And Harvey Pekar, in his day, he's passed us by. From the Cleveland area, and he's exceptional in. Harvey Pekar is exceptional in the indie comics world because he was so not an exceptional guy. He's a blue collar guy from a boring 9-to-5 job who decided to write comic books for some bizarre reason. And even more bizarre, he decided to write his comic books all about his mundane life, working at a 9-to-5. And he just sort of writes comics about his literally his day-to-day.
About selling the comics. Right.
He literally writes comics about writing comics and selling comics, or his boring job, or he's got comics in here about not being able to find his car keys. He's got comics in here about, I mean, it is some of the most mundane topics, but somehow he manages to write these and get these illustrated in, and they're just for such an unfascinating individual, he's able to create fascinating art. And let's start with one of the more unique comic strips, because this is actually Bob. Let me pull in close.
Yeah, make that big for us there. There we go.
Pull in close on me here. All right, so we've got Bob Waxman, Tumblr, story by Harvey Pekar, art by Alan Moore, from 1990. And so we've got 5 panels of comics from that Alan Moore, Watchmen Alan Moore.
So looks like just from a distance, I've never seen it, and just from seeing it like on the screen, it looks like Robert Crumb.
It's a very Crumb, like especially this panel here.
Yeah.
He's very much emulating that underground comic style, especially that
title. The way the title has got that old timey font outline to it and whatnot.
Let's read that. I mean, it's only going to take a second. Let's
that is crazy.
No background here. We have Harvey, of course, is being spoken to. I was in bed with my wife, so she says, "Close the windows. It's cold outside." I don't do anything, so she keeps on saying, "Why don't you close the windows? It's cold outside." So finally, I get up and close the window. Then I come back and I say, "Now, is it warm outside?" I use that when I'm calling bingo, puts everyone in the mood. And that's it. That's just some guy at work, I guess, talking to Harvey Pekar in the lunchroom. And telling a terrible joke, and Alan Moore illustrated that for Harvey Pekar, and he's not a bad cartoonist, like you said. If you took the title away and put R. Crumb on there, you'd believe it, right?
Be like, oh, okay, that's maybe like a wonky. Almost, I mean, it looks almost like, if you can bring it closer, because it almost looks like it has like that. Like that Drew Friedman does, like the dot, like the stippling texture or whatever. It almost looks like it has that stippling to it, but it might be like
definitely. If I go any closer, it blurs out.
Yeah, that is the problem with like the autofocus stuff, is that it's hard to
Well,
get
we do.
stuff.
We have a bunch of crumb in here.
But yeah,
So
that is just crazy that like he would like just illustrate just such an odd, like, you know, some guy telling a weird story about a joke.
Just a 5-paneler, dude.
Right, and it's just like I said, it really gives. It looks like a wonky version of Crumb, you know, like a wonky.
There's a Crumb. There's a Harvey Pekar Crumb comic. It looks the same, dude.
Huh?
It looks the same. Might as well be a Robert Crumb book. So Alan Moore didn't go far in his illustration career. He decided writing was where it was at, and boy, did he become a force as a comics writer. Has some of the best, when you look at like the top 10 best graphic novels of all time, you get Watchmen in there. You probably get From Hell in there. You probably get V for Vendetta in there. What else would you put in the top?
Would it be like
top 10 graphic novel that Alan Moore's written? I mean, at least those.
Yeah, definitely like Watchmen and From Hell. Probably this Violator versus Bad Rock. That'd probably be in the top 10 for.
This isn't an Alan Moore video. This is a Harvey Pekar video. So you've got a couple of. This is my American Splendor anthology, and this is a nice, big, thick, big, oversized book. Although I will say that the transfer.
I'll go to that picture of him and Letterman. That's what I want to see.
Picture of him and Letterman. Where's that at?
It was like if you just had it. It was.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
In here.
It was like were you more towards the front? It was like it looked like it was a picture of him.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah, that must be him on the Letterman.
Yeah, that's him writing. Well, yeah, it's him writing a.
I wonder.
It's a comic. It's actually a pretty long one, but hang on, let me get to the beginning of it. My struggle with corporate corruption and network philanthropism, or Philistinism even. This is art by Joe Zabel and Gary Dumm, which makes up the majority of this book. Yeah. This American Splendor anthology. All stories by Harvey Pekar, and art by Chester Brown, Kevin Brown, Greg Budget, R. Crumb, Gary Dumm, William Fogg, Drew Friedman, Rebecca Huntington, William Maverids, Val Maverick, Alan Moore, Spain Rodriguez, Gary Samaray, Carol Sabonsky, Frank Stack, J.R. Statz, Colin Upton, Ed Wazolski, Jim Woodring, Joel Zabel, and Mark Zingarelli. And so that Joe Zabel and Gary Dumm make up the majority of the illustrations in this book. But this is him complaining about one particular appearance on the David Letterman show, which is what made so Harvey Pekar became kind of infamous through his appearances on the David Letterman show, where he was there to sell his comics, but I guess David Letterman was just fascinated by his grumpy demeanor and his he never really got the joke that he was the butt of the joke. Harvey Pekar took himself so seriously, and David Letterman could just rag on him, and it would just make Harvey angrier and angrier. Like Harvey he was just so, what is the term for that? Where he's
curmudgeonly, maybe.
Yeah. He wouldn't laugh. He just wouldn't laugh. He wouldn't ever like break. It's not even a character though. It's just him. And so he would go on the show. He would get made fun of. It would make him mad, and he would go home and he would write comics about it. and he would never get it. He would never get the.
Well, that was him getting it, I guess. Is that he never. Anytime he'd show up, it was always like he comes in and he's always grumpy. He just shows up, and like Dave would always joke about how like he just, you go in. Imagine, you're going on the late night talk show, national television in the this was in the 80s too. So this is, you know, way before internet, you know. So you're going on national television and he just shows up. He's got jeans and a t-shirt. And it's just,
his hair's a mess. He looks dirty. He looks unkempt. And he just and let's just go over a little exchange here between the two of them. After a few minutes of trivial bullshit, Harvey, it's been brought to my attention that you've been offered your own television show. Is that true, folks? Let me tell you, that's the truth. I don't want to tell you what network. It was an offer to do a pilot. For who? Who made the offer? I don't want to tell you because I turned it down. I don't want to embarrass anybody. Was it a cable deal? It was for another network. Was it ABC? I bet it was ABC. It was another network. They got nothing. ABC is really hurting. I don't want to tell you. They were nice enough to make the offer. I don't want to spit on them. What kind of show was it? A talk show? What kind of guests would you have? I didn't even consider it. I didn't want to do it. Why don't you want to do it? Well, I've seen you here. But don't be discouraged by one lousy example. You want to know? I'll be serious. Big enough, Harvey. Big money. Big dough, Harvey. Big money. Stop interrupting me. There's a variety of reasons why. First of all, you get co-opted. You can't do anything serious. It's a drag to go on night after night doing simple-minded bullshit. You don't have to be serious all the time, says David Letterman. Well, once in a while, I wouldn't mind it on this show. I've been having aggravation for 2 damn days. I don't want to put on a happy face. When you have your own show, you'll have somebody else. You'll have somebody pre-preparing everything for you. Would you sing on the show, Harvey? Would you open the show with a song? I might, an aria. We'll do a commercial and then get back to some issues. A commercial? You messed up a beautiful segue I had set up. You're going to stick a commercial in here? Well, go ahead. Do your damn commercial. During the commercial. Perfect. Say, why didn't you do that show? 3 minutes, Dave. Oh, I better get going. We're back here with Harvey Pekar. I was talking about being co-opted. Look, man, I want to tell you this. You're making these cute remarks about GE, but there's a real reason. But there's a reason why people should be watching GE real close. It's nothing to do with Robert Wright's toilet habits. I want to tell you about that stuff. Harvey, man, don't mess with me. Number one, they're being sued in Ohio because they sold these defective nuclear reactors around the country. Harvey, this is very bad manners. This is very, very inappropriate. I don't care, man. Do I come where you're working and badmouth the Veterans Administration? You could if you wanted to. And it just goes on and on and on. We don't have to belabor the point here. This is a typical interaction between Harvey and Dave. When Harvey would come on the show, he would try to make it political. He would try to be an activist in some way and make some larger point. Well, David Letterman would brag on him, but he and American Splendor sort of became famous from those types of, and he had him on the show, dozens of times for years and years. He appeared as a guest on the David Letterman show, and that eventually led to American Splendor being turned into a feature film, right?
Right. Well, I mean, that fed into the whole thing. Like, that was, he'd been on Letterman so many times, and I mean...
And it says it right here in the up here. It says major motion picture with Paul Giamatti and Hope Davis. And so Paul Giamatti plays him in the movie and just nails it. Just absolutely nails that curmudgeon-y, grumpy nature of Harvey Pekar. And then that's that was my introduction to Harvey Pekar, was the American Splendor movie with Paul Giamatti in the 90s. How about, did you already know of him from the local comic scene before you saw the movie? Or how were you introduced to Harvey Pekar?
I had seen the movie. I think that was when I had first heard about him, because I hadn't gotten into comics until 2011. 2011 is when I first started making comic books. mini comics or whatever. And the movie came out whenever it was in 2003 or 2004 or something. So I had seen that, and I remember, like, I don't remember if I had gotten, or you know what? Now that I think about it, I must have seen his comics up at. I would go up to, like, in Cleveland. There's like this stretch called Coventry Road. It's where, like, the grog shop is at. It might not be the grog shop anymore, but that's where, like, you know, all the weird indie bands would come through, and there was like an old retro toy store there and a bookstore, and the bookstore always had like all his stuff. And I remember always going up there since like the 90s. It's like I always remember like seeing like Harvey Pekar, just like the books there. I don't think I ever got them. So that's I'm thinking, now that I think about it, it was like, oh yeah, I remember always seeing that guy's stuff. And then it was like whenever the movie came out, watching that, and then getting picking up the comic books afterwards. Whenever I started getting like indie comic stuff it's been 2009, must have been when I first found one.
I don't know why this stuff is so fascinating, because it's so mundane, and every one of these stories is ostensibly it's about nothing. But at the at the time that I was working at a porn shop in the late 90s, early 2000s, when this stuff, when we had a copy of American Splendor, and we had and Robert Crumb illustrated a lot of Harvey Pekar. So I watched the American Splendor movie, and then we also had the R. Crumb documentary. Right. And so I watched those back to back at the because it was a porn shop, but we had like not like used non-adult movies up in the front of the store to give guys the like out, like, no, I was just there to pick up the New York Times, honey.
You go back,
these tranny pornos just fell into my
where it has one more. Yeah, I was just gonna say that's his wife down there in the bottom left, and yeah, there too. That's Joyce, who just recently passed away. So
did
maybe
she
did. She passed away. So
it's unfortunate. Both of them, because he passed away not that long ago too, didn't he? Maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh no, it's been like he died back in like 2010, 2011.
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's been.
Yeah, he passed. He passed way too soon, and she passed as well. And in the movie, it kind of shows their relationship form, and I'm sure he did, not necessarily in this collection, but in the comics, I'm sure he told the origin story of them getting together. She was a fan of his comics and literally called him on the phone and was like, "Are you ugly like in the comics, or are you better looking? Because they depict you in a bunch of different ways, and I don't know which one you look like." And they strike up, only the kind of relationship that could be struck up in the 80s. They develop a relationship over the phone, and then she just moves in with him.
Right.
And then
she gets sick. Like the first time she comes to visit, like she's there, and like so they eat.
Here's more Letterman and Pekar.
That's a really good. That really looks like Letterman there.
Yeah, that's a better Letterman than the other one.
But that's one of the things I really like with it, is that it has such a variety of artists, so that like you get a real feel for like him being like a real person. Like that must be that Friedman guy.
These are like manipulated photographs.
No, that's Friedman, isn't it?
Is it?
I think.
Is it just him doing? Is it? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because that's stippling that he does. I mean, it might be just.
Look at the transfer though. Like I do have to comment that this book has really bad transfers. You can barely see that shit.
It does look kind of muddy.
Really muddy transfers. Like this could really use a cleanup.
See, I wonder what happens now with like all of his stuff, because I'm sure like she had. Oh yeah. You know, they had that daughter. Like there was like kind of like an adopted daughter from like one of the like. It wasn't. I want to say it was Gary, the Shamray guy. I think it was his daughter. Like I interviewed, if I would have been thinking about this, I would have gotten, I've got her comic because she edited a comic and wrote a couple stories in it. That's like, it's called Real War Stories. And it has a story by Alan Moore in there, now that I think about it. And it's got a story illustrated by like Brian Boland, the covers by Bill Sienkiewicz. She writes a couple stories in it, and then it's all like refugees of from like South America or something. I don't some sort of like 80s hippie liberal that was what the big thing they were all on about back then, was the South American armed guerrillas and stuff, and all the different political upheaval that there was back in the 80s down there. Still continues, but it was and then like my other experience with her is in 2016, trying to go to the she put on a political cartoonist protest. I don't really know how it would be a protest, but a political cartoonist event at the RNC in Cleveland, the Republican National Convention. Right, she put that on with a few, maybe like a half a dozen or a dozen, like indie cartoonists, I guess, and they were all supposed to make comics about how much they hated Donald Trump. So, like, I wrote to her and I was like, "Well, let me come too. I'll hang out with you guys. I'm not doing like an anti-Trump thing, but
more David." A lot of David Letterman comics in this anthology.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He was on there a bunch. That's what I'm saying. He would have been, that would have been a big thing. Meeting Letterman. I loved Letterman. Like, he was definitely the guy for like late night television back in the day. Like, him versus Leno. Like, come on. Versus Johnny Carson. Like, I mean, you're about the same age as me. Like,
oh yeah, no, the late night wars were huge.
As I'm saying, if you were older than me, I could see you being like, "Hey, Johnny Carson's a swell guy. What do you don't say nothing?"
No, I used to watch Carson with my grandma, and then my era was Leno and Letterman. I always liked Letterman more.
Yeah,
I thought Jay Leno was kind of a smarmy dork, and Letterman was more of a. I don't want to say he was down to earth, but he was funnier. He could take the piss out of himself and his guests better than Leno could. Leno was more like, let's give them show business, and Letterman was more like making fun of show business.
It's kind of funny too, because it was
Carson. I think Letterman and Carson are way more similar than Leno. Like I think Johnny Carson was really good at having ridiculous like animal guests on, and the way he would just look at the camera like knowingly to the audience of like, this is ridiculous. Letterman had that ability to just look at you through the camera and be like, I know this is silly. Well, you've got a couple there. I'm ready to wrap this up. We're
but she wouldn't.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
She wouldn't let me join their group of cartoonist protesters.
What do you have here?
This was just him on. This was one of the ones you were reading on him on Letterman. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was my only experience with Joyce. Was she told me that they only wanted professional cartoonists and to go take a anatomy class.
Oh,
I was like, what?
As though all these guys have taken anatomy classes. Like hundreds of pages of this stuff, and it's like that's what's really, because it's like anything else. I spent years and years in indie writers and indie movies, and it's just a it's a cool kids club. If you're in a club and your friends, it doesn't matter if you're because look at this is a very cartoony. Who is this?
This is Hunt Emerson.
It's a very cartoony style. I love it.
This one is Gary Dumb. This and
Yeah.
or this is Greg Budget and Gary Dumb. So that's probably Gary Dumb doing
Gary Dumb inking, because it's very different than that Gary Dumb style we've been looking at.
Yeah.
So I would say he's inking over a very cartoony guy. Like these are awesome. I like this really none of the stuff that I have here in this anthology has this cartoony style to it.
Yeah, this is Vertigo. Harvey Pekar, American Splendor from Vertigo from 2007. It looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, the Vertigo one, like this is like Ho Chi Anderson. Like he was supposed to like that. That's the thing with comics. It's like so weird. Is like so much stuff doesn't get made. Bob Fingerman. Like this Ho Chi Anderson was supposed to do. It was like the 50th anniversary of Luke Cage, like last year or the year before or something. He was all supposed to like, it was advertised he was going to do this thing, and then they canceled it. They just canceled it and just it's like what? He's like a legitimate like comics dude. Ho Chi, you know what I'm saying? That definitely looks like Joyce. Like that was too. That's the other thing. I need to get the one that Pekar did of him. I've never seen.
What I was going to ask if you had anything with Pekar, and I don't.
No, Rick Geary drawing.
They're all really cool. This is real. I like this modern style from all these.
Aspiel. Yeah, the other one. Well, you saw that on my channel. You know, my Dr. Ben YouTube channel at Comics Skate.
We got the link in the description, brother.
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah, over there I covered
where to find you.
Joe Sacco's coverage of Harvey Pekar, which it was the same thing. It was just like him and Harvey going to breakfast, eating breakfast, and a lady at breakfast talking to them.
Maybe we should take some anatomy classes, Dr. Ben. Why
not? I don't know. That seems
Why not? I took some art classes a few years ago, and I got my.
That looks legit.
I like your style. Let me show you what I got in the college. Let me show you what I got in the college art. The college art gallery. The semester I took art class.
So you're gonna get me. I'm gonna get all angry thinking about Joyce. Even though she's dead, I feel like. But I think that's probably what she would want.
Listen, Joyce,
even though you're dead.
Listen, Joyce, even though you're dead. Good. Let me show you something, Joyce.
Sucked.
Let me show you something, Joyce. I might not hate Donald Trump.
This was
but I can fucking draw my ass off.
The zine I put out in 2016. So she wouldn't let me join. I had already done this homage.
Wouldn't let you join?
Yeah, this is a homage to what's his name? Kyle Baker.
Let me see if I can get a better shot of this. Dr. Ben.
What the hell? Is it an eye? That's your pencil?
Pencil drawing.
Yeah, you need to take an anatomy class is what you need to do. That's
Dr. Ben, I got some game, Dr. Ben. That ain't half bad, is it?
Yeah, you can't join our comics club. You need to go take an anatomy class, buddy.
That
is nuts. That's good.
You like that?
Is that a reptile? A reptilian eye?
A reptile eyeball. So I did. I was in the class with these two twins that were like they were awesome. They were like 18 years old. These two girls, they were twins, and they wanted to be animators. You know, they were super into anime. But we hung out. We had both art classes that semester we had together, and me and the twins would sit together in both classes. After a while, you know, we kind of congregated together, and we all see how big this is. Also, that's my hand.
That is nice.
So me and the twins all decided we were going to do weird ass eyeballs. So one of the twins did a frog eye, one of them did a goat eye, and then I did this crocodile eye. And so we all did eyes. And I'm sitting there like it's this big open art class, obviously college art class you could imagine. And I'm stippling, right? I'm stippling with a pencil. And I get to these big marks.
Right.
And I start going, bap, 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 bap. And one of the twins looks at me and goes, "Hey." I'm like, "What?" She goes, you can just like draw those. You don't have to track them down. I was like, oh, you're right.
You're drawing the wrong way there, Sonny. What do you think you're doing?
So I sat there and drew the rest of those. But yeah, we probably worked about 2 weeks on and all three of us got our eyes in the gallery that semester. And I often wonder what happened to the twins. I didn't stay in touch with them. And they wanted to go on and become animators. I hope they did. I hope they're in the animation industry because they were really, really talented young girls. And I hope that they.
Their names happen to be Jen and Sylvia Saska.
No, I wish. I wish. Let me kick back to you there. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay.
You go right ahead.
Assassination of Abrahamster Lincoln. Don Chin liked it when I posted it.
Well,
so that's what I'm saying. Like she was. So I drew a picture of Joyce. If she was a goose, that was my depiction of Joyce as a goose over there. I don't know. It just seemed like
a goose or a ghost.
A goose.
Okay.
A waterfowl.
Or after she was dead.
No, that's what I'm saying. This is back in.
You should draw Joyce as a ghost telling you to take an anatomy class.
This was Jim Comey, our FBI director.
Right.
A quote saying when he was declined to prosecute Hillary Clinton.
There's something off there, Dr. Ben. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I think it might be the anatomy.
Yeah, well, yeah, his head's too big for his body.
His head. I don't know if you can tell, Dr. Ben, because you're not an anatomy expert, but his head might be a little big for his body. I can't imagine that was intentional. I can't imagine that was intentional.
But yeah, it was just. I mean, a bunch of it was just, like just drawings, and like I have a weird like scratchy style anyway, so it was just. When I made the zine, I was all pissed off after all that, but I was like.
Yeah,
I think I was still happy because like Trump won, so I was just like, I'm just putting in fucking.
Fuck you, Joyce. So you should you should do Joyce's ghost telling you to no. It should be living Joyce telling you to take an anatomy class, and you saying to a ghost Joyce, "Fuck you, Joyce. Trump won." Yeah. A two panel comic. Kiss the Spirit Cook. Is that supposed to be Amina Abramovich? What is her name?
That's
Clinton, right? That's Hillary.
That's Clinton. Hillary, yeah. Just add some fresh milk to the semen and menstrual blood. And that's Loretta Lynch after her meeting with former President Bill Clinton.
On the tarmac, right?
Yes. Bill, this casts a shadow over how this case may be perceived. Yeah, I was trying to. I don't know. They didn't like it.
Well, I think that's. I think that'll do
everybody.
That'll do it for our coverage. What's that?
So I don't want to get everyone coming after us with the Mickey and.
Oh no, I don't care about anything. I think it's ridiculous that liberals have such a if you don't have exactly the same views as me, then you're a Nazi bigot, racist fascist. It's like I want things to go back to the pre Facebook era where we can all have our politics and we can have our social issues and just let it be. I can be your buddy if you've got the opposite politics as me. I don't care. What difference does it make, Dr. Ben? You and me aren't changing the world, based on what our politics are. It's just ridiculous. I think social media was a mistake, Dr. Ben, and we, I believe, are done with our American Splendor coverage. So, do you have any final words for the ghost of Joyce?
Ghost of
Joyce Pekar.
Well, I think she retained her own.
Yeah, of course she did. She was a feminist. She never took Harvey Pekar's name. What is her last name? I can't think.
Brabner. Joyce Brabner.
Joyce Brabner. Do you have any final words for Joyce Brabner? The ghost of Joyce Brabner.
Well, I will do a review of her.
Yes.
Her comic. Real
Do a
world.
review.
That's my
Do a
promise.
review of the, does she draw it? No, of course, she just wrote it, right?
Right. Just wrote it. But like I said, Alan Moore's in there with her too. Like he didn't draw, but he contributed a story along with, I think it's like Steve Bissett maybe drawing it, I think.
We should do our own political comic.
Yeah.
We should do our own political comic and go to next year's DNC in protest.
And this.
All right, Dr. Ben.
Yeah. So excellent. Yeah, my promise to Joyce Radner's Ghost is I will review her comic, and I do. Spoiler: I think it's okay. Like I'm not like, I don't think it's a bad comic. You know, it's not, but it's definitely a product of its time. Like it's like 86. So.
Well, that'll do it for today's show, gang. If you like what you see here, you can always send us a super thanks. And that money goes to upgrading equipment, better cameras, better microphones, better editing equipment, laptops, that sort of thing. It also helps support us as cartoonists. And you can subscribe for $2.99 a month to the members section of the YouTube channel and get access to these videos weeks and sometimes months in advance. We're about to start recording. It's today is September 2nd, 2024, and we're about to start recording our October videos already. And those, when recorded, will immediately be posted to the members section. So we're going to get this to the point where probably sometime in September, we'll already be finishing all of our October videos. So for $2.99 a month, you get early access to all of that. And you can also follow Dr. Ben and his YouTube channel for his unique analysis and reviews and his comics creation streams. We'll do streams here together, and I'll do solo streams here on the channel as I work on new comics and Dr. Ben works on new comics. But you can follow him for his solo stuff there at youtube.com/@comicskate. So until next time, we will see you at the dollar bin.
Keep digging.